First case studies, the CRISPR children. Welcome back. I'm Adeline, 11 times published author, and this is the Designer Babies series, Reprogramming Humanity, one genome at a time. This episode isn't theory, it's fact. It's not a projection of the future. It's a document from the present, because this is the story of Lulu and Nana, the world's first known genetically edited babies, born in China in 2018, engineered in secrecy, announced to the world through a carefully staged YouTube video. And now, living proof that humanity has already crossed the threshold of biological authorship. In this episode, we'll explore the case that stunned the global scientific community. Who was behind it, what genes were edited, why it was done, and what it reveals about the future we've already entered. This isn't just a scandal. It's the first step in a process that will define the next century. Because if you want to understand where designer babies are headed, you have to start with the experiment that broke the silence. The announcement heard around the world. In November 2018, Chinese researcher He Jiankui released a video announcing the birth of twin girls, Lulu and Nana, whose embryos had been genetically edited using CRISPR-Cas9. The goal? To disable a gene called CCR5, making the girls resistant to HIV. He claimed the twins were healthy and that the procedure had gone according to plan. He smiled for the camera. He framed it as a medical miracle. But the world didn't celebrate. Instead, it recoiled. Within days, international headlines were ablaze. Bioethicists condemned the move. Scientists questioned the validity and transparency of the data. Governments issued statements of alarm, because up until that moment, germline gene editing in humans had been considered unethical and illegal in most countries. Experiments had been conducted on embryos, but none brought to term. He Jiankui had broken the pact, quietly, publicly, and definitively. He had created the first gene-edited humans in history. The gene he targeted, CCR5. The gene at the center of this case, CCR5, is known for its role in enabling HIV to enter and infect immune cells. Certain people naturally carry a mutation, called CCR5D32, that offers resistance to HIV. These individuals are rare, and their genetic immunity to HIV has been well documented, especially in parts of Northern Europe. He Jiankui's aim was to mimic this mutation by using CRISPR to disable the CCR5 gene in the embryos of Lulu and Nana. He believed this would offer them lifelong protection against HIV, particularly since the girl's father was HIV positive. The reasoning was that preventing future infection justified the genetic intervention. But the logic was flawed. First, HIV is preventable with medication and lifestyle. Second, the parents could have used IVF without any risk of transmission. Third, disabling CCR5 can cause other vulnerabilities, including increased susceptibility to West Nile virus and potential impacts on cognitive function. And most alarmingly, no one knew if the edit would work correctly. It hadn't been tested in clinical trials. It hadn't passed peer review. It was conducted in secrecy, with murky consent protocols and unclear oversight. This wasn't medical care. It was unauthorized experimentation on humans. What went wrong? When He Jiankui's experiment was analyzed by experts, several critical concerns emerged. First, the edits were not clean. The CRISPR tool created unintended mutations, known as off-target effects. The gene was not completely disabled. In one of the twins, the edit was only partially successful. The results were mosaic. Some cells were edited, others were not. This raises unknown risks for development, disease, and long-term health. Second, the sequencing showed that unexpected genetic damage may have occurred elsewhere in the genome. We don't yet know what the full consequences of those changes will be. Remember, the human genome is a vast, interconnected system. Disabling one function can trigger ripple effects in others, many of which aren't understood until decades later. Third, He Jiankui bypassed ethical protocols, misrepresented risks to the parents, and concealed data from oversight bodies. His consent forms were misleading. His trial registration was backdated. His process was opaque. It wasn't just risky, it was deceptive. In 2019, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for illegal medical practices. His work was denounced as reckless and unethical. But the children, Lulu and Nana, were born. And that fact cannot be reversed. Why it matters. The birth of Lulu and Nana marked a turning point. It proved that germline editing in humans is no longer theoretical, that the tools are real, that the procedures are possible, that somewhere, someone will always move faster than regulation. Many people imagine gene editing as a future dilemma, something to deal with years from now, once the science has matured. But this case showed that the future is not waiting. It's already unfolding. In private labs, in corporate clinics, in nations willing to move ahead of global ethics, Lulu and Nana are the first. But they won't be the last. And here's the deeper truth. Even if this experiment was condemned, it was also noticed by researchers, investors, institutions, nations. What was done in secret will now be done in competition. Because once the window opens, no one wants to be left behind. The global fallout. The backlash to He Jiankui's work was swift and global. The World Health Organization called for an international moratorium on germline editing. Bioethicists called for stricter oversight. Scientists proposed registries, ethical boards, and consensus frameworks. But the real effect was the opposite. It didn't stop the conversation. It accelerated it. Suddenly, funding for genetic innovation surged. Private investors became interested. Government agencies began reviewing their policies. The genie was out of the bottle. In the years since, multiple biotech startups have begun offering embryo selection based on polygenic risk scores. While not editing DNA, they use AI to evaluate which embryo is likely to have the highest IQ or the lowest risk of depression or diabetes. It's soft design, but it moves the needle. China continued funding genomic research. Russia began exploring military applications. In the West, scientists began preparing the groundwork for ethical frameworks to edit embryos, for disease prevention, of course. Always for prevention. But underneath it all, the unspoken truth remained. He Jiankui made the first move, and now the world is following. The girls today. Very little is known about the current status of Lulu and Nana. For privacy and protection, their identities have been concealed. Some reports suggest they are healthy. Others raise concerns that the long-term effects of the edit won't emerge until later in life, especially during puberty or adulthood. They are the world's first genetically edited children. They are the test subjects of a new age, and they are the living embodiment of a question that cannot be undone. What does it mean to be born modified? How will they see themselves? Will they feel empowered or exploited? Will they be celebrated or scrutinized? Will they be safe or forever studied? No one knows. And that's what makes their story so haunting. They didn't choose this. The world chose it for them. What this means. Going forward. Lulu and Nana are not just individuals, they are symbols. They represent the moment when human evolution became editable, when birth became a procedure, when ethics were challenged by capability, when healing blurred into enhancement. What their case reveals is that once something becomes technically possible, it will happen, regardless of whether the world is ready. And while ethics committees debate, private actors will proceed. While regulations tighten in one country, research will shift to another. While public statements condemn, private investments accelerate. Because the truth is, every major breakthrough in history, flight, nuclear power, the internet, came with a moment where the world said, we shouldn't. And then someone said, but we already did. We are past that moment now. The edit has happened. The babies are alive. The race has begun. He Jiankui's experiment was reckless. It violated laws and ignored ethics. But it also revealed something crucial. We are not prepared. Not legally, not emotionally, not spiritually. We are standing at the gates of a new epoch, where the human blueprint is a working document, and Lulu and Nana are the first edits. We don't know how this story ends, but we do know where it started. It started with an idea, that we could rewrite fate, that suffering could be removed, that biology could be upgraded, that science could play author. But let this be remembered. Every edit we make writes itself forward, not just into a child, but into all who come after. And now that we've written the first line, the rest of the story is in motion. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing, and no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones. The replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans. The merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of SoS Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.